interviews for cast and production for Kosmic Voyagerz. Can you tell us who you are?
My name is Phillip Bingham, and I play DJ.
DJ, all right. Where you from? DJ Phil?
Well, I'm from a few places. My parents are military, so I've grown up all over the place. Born in Germany, but as far as grew up, I would say Texas and Virginia. Prince George, Virginia, to be exact.
My name is Niko Wooten, and I play Ken on Kosmic Voyagerz.
Okay, Ken. Where are you from?
Just like Phil, I've been a military brat, so lived between Germany, Virginia. Ended up going all over the place in Europe, and then I was born in Greece. So quite the experience growing up, and even into a little bit of the adulthood.
Okay.
Hey, what's up, guys? My name is Elliot Taylor to be exact. I play Zex, the person that's coming back from the future trying to save the world.
Okay, Zex, okay.
You know.
So, first off, the fans want to know where are you from?
I've lived a lot of places in my life, but I would say DMV is my home. I lived in DC as a kid, then I moved to Fredericksburg, Virginia for middle school and high school, and then went to college in Richmond, and then came back to DC.
Justin Green, the Supreme One, Ultimate Villain, you know what I mean? From Alabama, Troy, Alabama specifically, you know, a small town in the South, about 35 minutes from Montgomery, the capital. I'm sure everybody know a little bit of something about, Montgomery. So, yeah, I'm from a small town kid, you know, big city dreams though.
My name is DeKarlos Lewis, and I write for Kosmic Voyagerz.
So, DeKarlos, where are you from?
Originally from a little small town called Natchitoches, Louisiana. I can't spell it, but I know where it's at.
So my name is Amir Vera. I'm a writer for Kosmic Voyagerz. One of, I think, three to five writers. But yeah, I'm one of the writers for Kosmic Voyagerz.
All right.
I'm a military brat, but I claim Virginia. I grew up in Germany, but yeah, I spent most of my childhood in Germany. But my late teens to my adulthood, I was in Virginia.
My name is Antonius. I'm one of the screenwriters. Yeah, that's it. I'm from 757 Chesapeake, Virginia.
From Montreal in Canada. Mm-hmm. It's in Quebec. It's a small city, not terribly small, but it's pretty nice for all the things I like doing, especially like with music, because a lot of people who come here love Montreal people because they're very broad when it comes to music. Like a lot of people listen to everything, so it's a musical city, you could say, I guess. As for who I am, I'm just a regular old pandemic survivor, just taking it one day at a time, trying to get through all this stuff with everyone. I'm 18, just turned 18 at home on the computer, which is very fun because I got to party on Zoom with my friends. So,
Jonathan Amor, Atlanta, Georgia is where I reside and everything's like picking up crazy. Like Hollywood has finally came over here to Atlanta, shown everything off, and now everybody's moving towards Atlanta. It's crazy here, but we're making it work. Keeps me busy with video editing and clients and things of that nature as well. I love what I do. In the daytime, things of that nature, I do have a logistics job where I'm doing pretty much coding for a company, doing that stuff, which is boring. Ready to leave there. And as long as what I'm planning, and if I stay on track, I'll be able to leave there and fully do this full time. And that's the whole plan to do. So that's what I love. I love filmmaking, not necessarily just editing in a sense, but really just getting behind the camera and capturing the talent the best way possible that I can, because that's how I tell my stories, and that's how I'm able to tell my clients' stories and things of that nature. And that's why they keep booking us. So OGS, Open Gate Studios, we're gonna go there. And VFX wise and whatnot, I really taught myself how to do it and things like that. Got in the game kind of late with it because, with VFX, it's something that can be kind of, not kind of scary, but intimidating in a sense, because it's so much that goes into it and stuff like that. When you're doing it, you got to think of it like you're creating like a beat, like a song. It's the more layers that you have on top of it, and you keep adding on to it, or like even with like cooking and things like nature, it's the more layers, it's the flavors, the more you add towards it, and just not keeping it so simple, the better it looks. But you also have to film it right. You have to do so much. But I love it. I love spreading the knowledge. I don't want to keep it to myself. So, then, I mean, if I keep it to myself or whatever, then it's really serving the purpose. But yeah, so that's a little bit about me, what I like to do. Just love filming and making people happy within filmmaking, So that's my passion. That's what I'm here to do. That's what I'm going to do. And yeah, that's me.
What's your favorite food?
Well, I am a Louisiana kid, so give me some catfish, shrimp, French fries, hush puppies. Keep it simple, man. Lemonade on the side.
I'll eat about just anything, but if I had to narrow it down to cuisines, it'd probably be Mediterranean as my number one choice. It's kind of biased because I'm Greek, so it's kind of like, okay. But Asian food, anything Asian really, is kind of like a close second too. So
soul food. I love soul food. I love a good mac and cheese. You can't go wrong with mac and cheese. But yeah, man, I'm gonna go mac and cheese. I'm gonna go mac and cheese. Okay. Like a night, yeah, like seafood. Like don't be messing up the mac and cheese, man. But yeah, I make some good mac and cheese too. By the way, I do make some good mac and cheese.
You heard it first.
Shoot, I put my foot in it. You know what I'm saying?
We might have to have a cooking segment. Kosmic Voyagerz.
I wish somebody would tell me.
I love that down south cooking. I love that gumbo, that jambalaya, cornbread. It's a proper way to make that cornbread. You just gotta have. Alright, I digress. But yeah, so just southern cooking, collard greens, mashed potatoes, mac and cheese, but like the home style mac and cheese. I'm saying not the Kraft out the box. You're delusional if you're thinking that's mac and cheese. Seafood, just in general. I love the shrimp, barbecue, brisket, pasta. I'm not a picky eater, basically.
So I grew up, even though I grew up in Germany, most of my life in U.S. was spent in the South. So like I was born in South Carolina, I went to Georgia, and then finished in Virginia. I'd say some of my favorite. I love soul food. So like you take me to any soul food restaurant, I love it. Favorite food is ribs. You give me a slack of ribs, I'm gonna go ham on them joints. So that's what that is.
One of the funnest things I've ever done in Alabama, like when I was younger, is me and my cousin, we used to play golf. And in our yard, it was just straight dirt, and we used to dig holes. I don't know where we found these golf balls, but we had some golf balls, and we picked up some sticks, and we putted. So I became a pretty good putter from playing golf with my cousin, like in the country, in the middle of nowhere, So that's one of my favorite memories of my childhood.
Yeah. What kind of inspired you along the way as you grew up to want to act, write, anything, especially now that you're in Kosmic Voyagerz?
Man, I would say just like I watched so many movies from like a small child, kid, even until now. Like I've seen so many movies, and I just know like how movies, certain movies and shows make me feel. I just felt like that was always kind of like a wonderful, magical feeling for somebody to watch something that you've created and have any type of feeling, but definitely like a special or moving feeling. So that was one of the things that kind of pushed me to be involved in this project. And of course, also shout out to my cousin. He also stayed on top of me about being a part of this, so I appreciate him for that, for the opportunity.
I've just been since I was young. I've been like super heavy into movies and TV shows, video games, reading. So just to be able to create stories that people find intriguing, uh, be able to build worlds and characters like that. I've always been a big fan of that. I'm like even now I'm writing. I have one main novel that I'm writing, but I have different ones that I've started that I plan on doing. So yeah, that's what really got me into writing. Especially like a lot of people don't know this about me, but I'm a big wrestling fan. So when I was young, like at a young age, I was told that it was fake. So once I realized it was fake, I was interested in like how they create storylines each week and things like that. So that's another thing that got me into writing. Um, then, like I said, gaming too. Basically, video games are just interactive movies. So, like that aspect, as well as writing stories for that, I always found intriguing.
So I got this question a lot when they always interview me for articles and stuff. It's like, what really inspired you? And it's always the same reply. It will always be. It's my sister. She inspired me. I was in a very low place in 2016, where so low where I was going to pretty much end it off and like take my life because I just didn't see myself being here anymore, wanting to be here. Luckily, very fortunate for me, before that incident was to take place, my mother texted me and told me that my sister was coming from pretty much London. She was doing acting abroad and things of that nature. And, she wanted to see me and things like that. And I was like, all right, well, I was like, it's not really a good time right now. Can we just reschedule? But she was like, no, she insisted. I said, okay, cool. I'm going to go. I go to the restaurant. I'm waiting for them. And when I see my sister, it's been a long time since I saw her. When she comes into the restaurant, all I saw was like this radiation, just this glow that she just had, And when she started speaking and she started telling me about what it was that she did abroad with the acting and learning of the production side of stuff, I felt not only that I wanted to learn that, but I wanted that happiness, that glow, because I was pretty much her polar opposite. It was just dark, sulking, just all that. But I don't know what it was. Maybe it was her spirit and things of that nature. Don't want to go too deep into that, but just I felt it in a sense. Like I felt connected and I just wanted that. So I researched, I got home, I figured out, okay, well, how can I get on set? How can I do things and stuff of that nature? So I saw where they needed extra work or they needed PAs or where they needed stand-ins for different things that were happening in Atlanta. And luckily enough, that was happening and booming here during that time. It was really getting started. And with that being said, I landed like a stand-in job over on 24 Legacy. And they pretty much, what stand-in is, you stand in for the actor so that the camera people get everything lit properly and stuff of that nature and whatnot. But from there, I actually saw how they did production. While most of the stand-ins were just there to like gloat and stuff, I was there taking notes and I was learning. I was like, oh, so this is how they do it. So this is a turnaround. This is what lighting does. This is what directors do. Like I learned about it in college, but seeing it from a professional standpoint was on a whole nother level. And so I took that knowledge, brought it back to Open Gate Studios and never looked back. And here we are now. So yeah, my sister.
That's amazing, honestly. And I'm actually very happy that you found something like that.
Me too.
Look terrible. Honestly, inspiration. I feel like I've always just loved music, even as a kid. I started playing the guitar when I was younger, and when I was in music class, I'd always be that one guy who just loved music, just everything. A lot of people say, "Oh yeah, I love music," but I never really liked what the songs were about or what the songs sounded like, but just how songs were made. How like I would be like, how the hell do people do this? Kind of like when you film a movie, you're like, how the hell did this guy make this effect? How did
that's how I feel.
So it was always like that for music. And I remember I always had a very broad selection of music. So I'd listen to like Beethoven, and then the next day go listen to some like club music. So it was always very like a variety, a great variety. And I actually hated electronic music at first. I hated it, and which is kind of weird because now it's like my biggest passion, right? So I absolutely hated it. And I think that normally, generally, when you have a love-hate relationship with things, they always tend to be the best. Like if I look back at all of the friends I've made, I've always like disliked them when I first met them, and now we're like best friends. I don't know if that applies to you guys, but I feel like
I felt that. Nope, I felt that.
you always
happened to me
hate,
before.
yeah. So you hate something, and then you learn to love it eventually, right? So I hated electronic music. I always just say, oh, this is not real music. It's not like a guitar. You can't play. And then one day, it's such a stupid story, but honestly, it's such a great coincidence. You could say one day we're on the bus, right? Coming back from school in like Sec 3 or Sec 2, and people are playing music on their phones, and they're like, oh, we want to sync them up. And so I'm like, okay, give me the phones. So I took the phones, and on the first try, I synced both phones up, and they're like, oh, cool, you're a DJ. And I'm like, huh, cool. You know, something stupid like that. So I went home, I searched up what do DJs do, what's a DJ. I downloaded Virtual DJ, and then just saw all kinds of stuff, and I was like, oh my god, this is really, really intricate. And then it just so happened by coincidence at the same time, my cousin was a very, very big fan of Martin Garrix, and so he came over when it was like my birthday, and he started showing me a bunch of songs that Martin Garrix made, and a bunch of this, a bunch of that. And so I started really getting into the club tracks, the house tracks, and stuff like that. And then I looked how to become famous, you know, how do you become famous? And then I saw that they say you have to make music if you want to play music. And so I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. So I got FL Studio 20. That's the DAW I started with. And because Martin Garrix was using it, of course, and he was like my biggest like inspiration, you know, because from such a young age, he was able to have all these ideas and do all these creations. And since then, like you said, I just never really looked back. I went through ups and downs all the time, you know, because obviously I was still in school, you know, going through high school, now in college. So I didn't really have all the time in the world to just sit at home and make music all the time. So it went through like a whole year where I hadn't looked at a folder at all. And then I would come back and be like, oh my God, I made this a year ago. This is actually not terrible. And then I'd work on it. Then a year later, be like, oh my God, this again. So it takes forever. Like, and that's another thing that's really cool is that most of the guys in the field, like that I watch who are underrated, DJs or producers, they always say like, oh yeah, I've had this project sitting here for like 2-3 years and I never really thought anything of it. And then some people are like, oh, you should release it. And then they're like, but I can't, because like you just can't go back on an idea that old, or then you try to remake it. So that's another thing that's really cool, is that you have to just explore absolutely everything. But then at the same time, you also have to have that like confidence almost to like swallow that hard pill to say like, I can't do this, because it's just, I have to let go of this because I love it so much, but I just have to let go of it and continue. You can't kill yourself beating around the bush to try to finish something if you can't finish it. So that's another thing that's really cool. It's like almost like life, you know? You need to like pick and choose what you need to finish, what you can't finish. You need to be smart about it. But more technically, when it comes to actually making music and how I started making music, I literally learned everything by myself. I never really went to a school or had anyone teach me. So I went online and looked at what a plugin was, what a synth was, what this was, and started to learn like, oh, this is what EQ is, this is what delay is, this is what reverb is, this is what that does. And then learning all these little tips and tricks off of YouTube, you know. So I'm very lucky for that, because a lot of people who started off back in the day didn't really have YouTube. They didn't really have all these sources to go and learn about all of this stuff, you know. So that's it's very helpful for people who are starting now, you know. And so I started with YouTube, and now I joined this one server with this guy who's a really cool guy. His name is Zax, and he's made a bunch of songs with like top end guys. One of my favorite DJs, and the guy you probably know him. His name is Tiesto. And he was just talking about how when he started making music, he started making it because he fell in love with like sounds and sound design and this and that. And that's where I saw the difference between me and most people, is that everyone else fell in love with sounds and wanted to see how they can manipulate the sounds. But I fell in love with the music and wanted to see how I can remake the music, if that makes sense. And then through trying to do that, that's how I learned everything else. So whenever I'm making a track, I don't really go, and Hardwell said this, he said, whatever sounds good is good. You know, you don't really have to follow a rule when it comes to art. So I never really said like, oh yeah, I'm going to use this crazy delay technique. I just said like, oh, throw that delay on there. If it sounds good, it sounds good. And that's it, you know? So that's how I started making songs, just by listening to other people's music and then really appreciating their music and then trying to recreate it and how I saw it with my own like vision. So that was the producer side of things. And then when it just came to the other part, like the DJ, which is like the live performances, it's more about how much you love someone's song. Like I saw a quote about that. It said DJing is really showing your appreciation to music and to artists in general, because you just show that you really appreciate the time and the effort they've put into stuff. And I stand by that, you know. I know how much effort it takes to sit on your computer for 20, 40, 60, 70, 80 hours and just grind at something.
Yes.
And then you're always going to have someone who's going to be like, oh, this is shit, man, this sucks. Or someone's going to be like, oh, this is amazing. You know, and at the end of the day, like, you know what, I sat down and did this. I feel accomplished. I did something with my time.
Okay. So what are your favorite movies and shows?
I watched a ton growing up. I mean, anime has been there since a child, just like everybody else. Dragon Ball Z was definitely one of the top ones, and then, I mean, including Dragon Ball 2, so don't forget that. But I've watched a ton of movies. I would think my genre, my favorite genre, would probably be sci-fi, action, things from like Space Odyssey, Alien, Predator, to some of the more recent ones like Interstellar, The Martian. I mean, anything sci-fi related basically has a pretty good grasp on me. Even if the movie sucks, I'll still watch it just to see different aspects on it, and anything that can, I guess, take me or place me into space in some capacity has definitely gotten my interest.
One of your favorites, though, man.
The favorites, Dragon Ball Z. That's definitely a favorite. Full Metal Alchemist. You got Goonies, Spawn, Deep Blue Sea. I just watched The Wood again a couple nights ago. Boys in the Hood, Harry Potter series, Lord of the Rings. It's a lot, honestly. It's a lot, honestly. I love being able to step into a new world and really experience something just new, and it's something magic about it.
Man, I got a list of 100, and that's just to get started. What you want to know? We can take it back to childhood with Flight of the Navigator. You know, all of the movies that encourage imagination. I had a real big imagination. Of course, 1990s Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That's up there in the top tier. 1991's Terminator 2 Judgment Day. As you know, I can tell you what year almost anything came out. So, a million movies. I was mostly action, but I love anything dealing with a lot of imagination and well-written stories. All the Spielberg movies back in the day. E.T., everything, even Jaws. So.
Okay, so we can start.
Yeah, so my favorite movie all time is Juice. I'm a huge Tupac fan, but besides that, Juice is my favorite movie. I've probably watched Juice 2 times every week the past like 52 weeks, which is a year. But TV show.
You can be past and present. It can be multiple too.
Yeah, man. I mean, I like to laugh. Honestly, I've been rewatching Martin and Fresh Prince all the time. I rewatched Fresh Prince all the way through, and then Martin I've probably watched 3 times. I just like to laugh. It's just hilarious. Yeah.
Favorite movies growing up, I went through a big Spike Lee phase my senior year of high school. So like my favorite movie of all time is Do the Right Thing. Just that movie, the writing, the cinematography, the acting, everything in that movie, it makes it a good movie. The message that it was trying to get across, it was a great movie. TV shows, less militant, if you will. I'm a big fan of like Scrubs and How I Met Your Mother. Just TV shows where I can relate to the characters in the show, no matter like their race or, their background or anything like that. Cause, we all lived shared experiences. So like TV shows like that are big fans of mine. But like outside of like sitcoms and stuff, I like The Wire. So, we're talking about storytelling and stuff like that. The storytelling in The Wire and how they make the city of Baltimore a character in the show is really cool.
The entire cast and production crew, who do you think has the most anime knowledge?
Oh, that's easy. That's either DK or Niko. Like hands down.
That's a very good question. I would almost argue Niko might know the most. I probably used to be that guy, but adulthood is taking me away from it a little bit. But I would argue Niko might be the person. I don't know.
Okay.
I've already gotten, I guess, nominated by 2 individuals, or maybe everybody, but I would say DK is probably up there, and actually Antonius too, one of the writers. I think me, DK, and Antonius have varying levels of anime knowledge, so maybe we're all on the same level, but maybe certain anime piques the interest of one person more than the other, so they might have it in that. But I would put us probably all close. I can't really say which one is more. I'll just leave it at that. I honestly don't know.
Oh, that's me without a doubt. Me or DK? Yeah, definitely me or DK. DK like 80 years old or something, so that's probably. I'm roasting y'all. Just roast.
Kosmic Voyagerz, the roast.
Oh, no, I definitely, I know. What, you got some questions, bro? What's up? What you trying to do?
That may have to be a challenge at some point.
Been to conventions. I've been to so many conventions, bro.
Most and one of the closest I know, Phil has some knowledge and getting to know DK, working more closely with DK and Niko and Phil. I would probably say Niko also has the most anime knowledge. He gives me a lot of tips from animes that he's seen, and I couldn't begin to tell anybody about some of these. So I think I have to go with Niko as well. But compared to me, everybody.
To me, I mean, I do feel like I know like a lot about anime, but I feel like Niko is the main, like he's above me. I feel like, because some of the stuff Niko, for example, anybody who likes, I'm not a fan of JoJo. Anybody who likes JoJo to me is on another level. So I'll give Niko that. So
DK and Antonius. Those are 2 writers. I would say those 2 because they'll bring up stories and shows that I've never seen in my life or I've never heard of. And I'm like, I'll just be like, they're like, yeah, I get what you're talking about.
What would you tell someone as a reason to watch the series?
It's awesome. I mean, being able to put something together that's different, bringing aspects from different genres together. Obviously, it's going to get better with time, so sticking with us for the long haul, and you can see the changes in, the show. But if you like sci-fi, you like anime, you like action, you like a little bit of comedy, you like just seeing growth and development over time, adventure. I mean, there's a lot of different aspects and genres that it kind of like targets. But obviously, if any person knows any of the actors on the show or actresses, definitely would highly recommend just to see them, because obviously when you see a person playing a role that you wouldn't expect, you're gonna sit there and chuckle and laugh, but trying to just imagine what they're going through and trying to play that character is it's a pretty cool thing. But yeah, it touches a lot of different genres, and if you want to see cool things develop over time and get better, definitely check out the show.